have 4 minutes, and then we'll have some final remarks from the observers in 2 minutes. You know that we have the melody when the time is pretty much over. And then we have a second melody. So please try to stick to the 4 minutes, sorry, and the 2 minutes. So first, we have the Minister of Culture and Francophonie,
Her Excellency Ms. Françoise Remarque. The floor is yours.
Chers homologues, honorables invités, mesdames et messieurs, je voudrais, au nom de
dear
Son
ministers
Excellence, M. Alassane Ouattara, président de
and
la République de
attendees,
Côte
on
d'Ivoire
behalf
et de son
of
gouvernement,
President of Côte d'Ivoire and his government, we greet this World Conference that will set a turning point for culture. We always have seen the value of culture. Our president on August 1972, our former president said, our development is something comprehensive. It cannot only be a matter of production figures. Economy should not be the only measure of humans, so we need to provide it with a new dimension while integrating and providing it with a better position in culture. So we are here to talk about creative economy. Thanks to some nations and several stakeholders of the creative and cultural sector contribute to the economy of such countries. I could talk about South Korea, among many others. Our country, Côte d'Ivoire, is a land of creativity and education. We have more than 60 ethnic groups and 529 different festivals that are a source of ongoing inspiration. Likewise, its cultural inheritance has been acknowledged by UNESCO. At Côte d'Ivoire, more than 75% of us is over 35 years old. So our younger people is well connected and know very well what is at stake. Leticia, for example, with her capillary art, has been able to have 23 million views in TikTok. Talking about recycling of electronic spare parts. Now, contemporary art is also present among our younger people. Let's talk about the future of creative economy. We should contemplate it in terms of protection of the different stakeholders of culture, or the protection of the material heritage, or the structuring of the value chain for the creative industries, and better consideration of this sector in public policies, or in terms of the gathering of data or collaboration at a multilateral level. Côte d'Ivoire has understood that all these questions have been addressed, and in my country we are putting into action. And right now, this morning, we have executed an agreement with the Institute of Fine Arts in Mexico and with the Institute of Anthropology in Mexico. Before wrapping up, I want to talk about culture and market. Culture will be a good like any other good. And today we find that some of our works are purchased outside Africa. A painting by Abu Dia was sold in London for $360,000 US. So our pieces of art are lost, as has happened with the goods that were taken away from us during colonial times. Since culture is a public good, we suggest for UNESCO to gather reflection for a purchasing fund for art pieces in order to bring services and goods circulating in a more equitable way. My dear colleagues, as Director General of UNESCO said, culture plays a key role for our peoples. At Côte d'Ivoire, the future of creative sciences is here already, because thanks to His Excellency Alassane Ouattara, one of the three axes of the development plan for 2021-2025 includes provisions that allow for the creation of employment for our younger people. To respect sustainable development, long live Mondiacult 2022. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Now, His Excellency, Minister of Youth, Sport and Culture from Grenada, Mr. Ron Redhead.
The floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, special invited delegates, I bring greetings on behalf of Minister Ron Redhead, Minister of Youth, Sports, Culture, Grenada. As said before, the creative industry has been significantly paralyzed by the COVID pandemic and affected the creation and production and distribution of our culture. In Grenada, like most of the world, the fragility and vulnerability that lies within the cultural sector were evidently challenged by the COVID-19 pandemic, and this was indeed significant. Despite these challenges, there are visions of hope and optimism. Therefore, it is imperative that we inject the right growth impetus through cultural policies and markets. This will indeed strengthen and develop national and international frameworks with the mechanism to protect the future of the creative economy. This economy, as said before, is a rapidly growing sector and provides potentially 40% growth by 2030, thus providing over 8 million additional jobs, particularly to women, young people, local communities, where there is rich, diverse cultural traditions. This contributes significantly to the gross domestic products for most of our small island states. We see a future where culture, social practices, rituals, festivals, traditions, and expressions are preserved, safeguarded, and transmitted to the younger generation through our education system. This role of intangible heritage is an important part of our cultural diversity and a driver for sustainable development, and will continue to be an essential part of our small islands' economic growth. The UN Environmental Programme and the UN World Trade Organization suggest that the full involvement of local population is important in seeking to raise the living conditions and the quality of life of our persons. For the future economic, social, and environmental development, it is important that we consider cultural practices as part of our economic planning. The development of sustainable cultural tourism is a key factor in the empowerment of our local communities and stakeholders who are at the center of the decision-making process. Consequently, governments must put the necessary framework in place to support our cultural tourism development. The economic transformation of our region is highly dependent upon the success of our creative industry. I'm sure my colleagues from Jamaica could speak about the success of the reggae industry towards their national development outcomes. We envision there is a scope of enhancement for the music industry. We also envision greater collaboration between performers, artists, musicians, producers, historians, dancers, promoters, to mention a few. Therefore, it is important to build the capacity to training and education so that these professionals can improve their practice and improve the world market in terms of the contribution that they can make. Clearly, the future suggests that there is a synergy between culture and education, not only to include history, identity, but also to include, as part of the innovative skills at the school system, culture, which can aid in the deterrent of crime. What is the future without digitalization? Of course, we understand that this has been a game changer for the creative economy, impacting the entire creative value chain. These new technologies are breaking barriers between creators, consumers, and more so, it impacts how organizations interact with the customers and expand the reach to new audiences. This transformative impact of digitalization and the internet on the creative industry offers an opportunity that provides for all citizens to be connected to the creative industry. Hence, the creative industry contributes significantly to our economic development, and therefore, it is the key to rebuilding, boosting our sustainable development through entertainment, culture, and creative industries. As I close, undoubtedly, the future of our economies depends on the strength of the creative industry. Hence, we must ensure that we play our part to strengthen the industry while we recognize the role of culture and the preservation of our heritage as pathways for sustainable development. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Ahora vamos a ver un video de la
Thank you.
ministra
Now
de
we
Cultura
have a
y Asuntos
video
Económicos.
from the Minister of Ireland, Minister of Culture and Business Affairs.
Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. First of all, I would like to use this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the Assistant Director General, Ernesto Otto, and UNESCO Cultural Sector for the participation and the inclusive process of the consultation in the preparation for the Mondiacult 2022, our World Conference on Cultural Policies and Sustainable Development. I also want to thank the government of Mexico for their generous hosting this world event again, 40 years after the historic 1982 Mondiacult Conference. This highly important conference comes at a time when we need to shape a more robust and resilient culture sector, as the years dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic revealed the pre-existing vulnerability of the cultural sector, as well as its important contribution to the global economy. The global crisis affected everyone in the cultural sector around the world and impacted the heart of both small and large communities, where it is the cultural sector that contributes both to the community's livelihoods and resilience. The professional, social and economic status of artists and cultural professionals was also considerably weakened, and therefore I want to address the importance of investing in culture and creativity for job creation and socio-economic development. Supporting culture and creative industries is an important part of our cultural policies, and the Icelandic government and public share a consensus regarding the importance of culture, arts, creative industries, both for supporting quality of life in Iceland as well as for the economy. This has been achieved throughout enhancing available funding and extending rebates to various art forms, raising the artist grants and other direct support from the Icelandic government, while placing the Icelandic language in the focus to protect and preserve it. The Icelandic government has set a goal for diversify the Icelandic economy by boosting industries based on innovation, creativity, and sustainability. In economic terms, these industries are more flexible, grow faster, and create social quality as well as value added in other industries and sectors, and they also can balance economic fluctuations. The vision is to strengthen Icelandic arts and creative industries by making Iceland an attractive option for creative individuals and companies, both in Iceland and on a global scale. Excellencies, in your final declaration, there are important messages and call for action. For example, to protect and promote cultural diversity, for a systemic anchoring of culture in public policies, and the adoption of our cultural policies to contemporary challenges. It is of the utmost importance that we commit to reinforced multilateralism, that culture is recognized as a global public good, and that culture will be integrated as a specific goal in its own right in the development agenda beyond 2030. Finally, I want to reiterate my sincere thanks and wish you a constructive and inclusive dialogue here in Mondiacult 2022, which hopefully will strengthen the creative economy and culture sector with collaboration, multilateral action, and solidarity among us all.
Ahora vamos a conectar otro video, justamente la ministra de
Now we have
Cuidados,
another video
Isabela
from the
Daguiago,
Take Care Minister from Nauru, Ms. Isabel Daguiago.
Ikamowiromo, well wishes and greetings to you all. Excellencies, on behalf of the government of Nauru, it is my utmost pleasure to share my perspectives on the future of the creative economy. The vital importance of preserving the Nauruan culture for the future of our youths is a national aim as stated in our NSDS 2019 to 2030. We believe that knowing one's identity on the local and international arenas will combat the trending apathy and negative attitudes that are impacting our people, especially our youths. It is crucial that we all employ our energies into helping our youths understand and know their cultures. The impact of modernization is exacerbating this lack of interest in culture as seen in Nauru's youth. The best practice is to synergize modernity with traditional. Several examples are in the fishing and harvesting of the milkfish ibija that illustrates social standing, economics, dancing, dress and fashion, and so forth. Special cultural talents are proudly displayed by youth groups and family systems in Nauru. Public hosting of youth activities and performances are being encouraged. Creating a marketing outlet for the different youth groups, as well as preserving and promoting cultural dances and leaving legacies in place for upcoming generations. Basic skills in weaving of traditional dance costumes, mats and baskets, and fishing skills are shared by the remaining authentic owners of traditional skills. Different social mediums are tools to communicate for public consumption and marketing. Cultural teachings on handicrafts, etc. are recorded, stored, and are being promoted and protected simultaneously. The future of the creative economy certainly lies in the openness to share so as to benefit all. It is planned for our cultural professionals to be involved in preserving and storing skills that are slowly being lost. Strengthen policies on copyrights and intellectual property frameworks are a must so as to encourage the open sharing of information from owners to others and not to be strictly confined by familial ties. Participation by members of society can be enhanced by the strengthening of the socio-economic rights of artists. Nauru is at the initial stage of identifying our value chain of culture in regard to the future of the creative economy. Creative hubs for our youths could be formed and implemented to promote culture. Public funding and skilled human resources have to be invested so as to strengthen the establishments of such hubs. Nauru commits to the transformative role of culture for collective and individual well-being in its vision on building a cultural, social, inclusive, cohesive, and self-reliant community with sustainable livelihoods. Matewe, God bless us all.
Volvemos en presencia.
We are going back in presence. Now I would like to give the floor to the Minister of Culture, Your Excellency from Mongolia, Ms. Nomin Shimbat.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ministers, honorable delegates, and their colleagues, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Mexican government, especially Ministry of Culture of Mexico and Mexican people for the warm hospitality, and UNESCO for organizing this excellent event. And I'm honored to join you today here at this historic event to reaffirm Government of Mongolia's commitment to the development of cultural creative industry as we face extraordinary challenges that we all have to jointly put together our action towards. Ladies and gentlemen, we have all witnessed the devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic on our creative economies. We must now work together to ensure that cultural and creative industries remain at the core of our recovery strategy to overcome the crisis and other ongoing disruptions. In this regard, the government of Mongolia has adopted the medium-term development plan called New Recovery Policy, which aims to develop creative industry to harness their potential to become one of the fundamental pillars of sustainable development that will diversify our economy from the dependency on natural resources. We are developing our creative industry based on our unique nomadic identity that originated thousands of years ago and still maintaining its integrity even today. This means that we are linking intangible cultural heritages with cultural creative industry by facilitating knowledge transfer from the bearers of the living heritage to the next generation and creative practitioners. Moreover, we have recently conducted a comprehensive survey of the Mongolian cultural and creative industry following the international standards and UNESCO's Institute for Statistics indicator. The survey revealed that our creative industry employs about 70,000 people, most of whom are women and youth. And the industries accounts about 1.3% of the GDP of the country, which is lower than the world average. And we are aiming to raise it to 4% by 2027. Using the survey result, the government has recently approved the key sectors of the cultural creative economy. With that, we are now preparing to submit to the Parliament our first ever law on developing cultural creative industries. This law will create a regulatory framework for the cultural and creative industries, particularly in the digital environment. We hope that it will help us build a dynamic, inclusive, and ethical creative economy that will preserve and protect our culture, ignite growth in our creative industry. The global pandemic has accelerated the ongoing digital transformation of cultural creative industry, thereby fundamentally altering the way we create, produce, distribute, and access cultural goods and services. On the one hand, digitalization has broadened access to culture for all, enhanced the promotion and protection of heritage, and stimulated the creativity and innovation. On the other hand, however, it has reinforced the global imbalance of flow of cultural goods and services and the inequality concentration of global content platforms in the digital environment. This is deepening the inequality both within and between countries, as well as becoming the factor that might weaken cultural and linguistic diversity. Let's address these challenges together by fostering creative industry that respect, protect, and promote all human rights, especially in cultural rights in the digital environment, in order to build a more just world for everyone. Recognizing culture as the foundation of the identity of people, we must act now to create I'll be very quick, create a new, robust, and forward-looking global agenda to protect and foster cultural, linguistic diversity that harnesses the transformative impact of the culture for sustainable development. We must ensure that global cultural policies support sustainable ecosystem that promotes cultural diversity and freedom of artistic expression. Lastly, in the face of unprecedented challenges and uncertainty, we must pool all of our resources and efforts into keeping the integrity of culture that helps us preserve the unique identity of every nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Muchas gracias, Su Excelencia. Ahora vamos a pasar a un
Thank you, Your
video
Excellency. Now we have a
del
video
Ministro de Cultura
from the
de
Minister of Culture from Thailand.
Vamos a pasar al siguiente panelista mientras
let's go
logramos
to
conectar
the
el
next
video para la
panelist
siguiente
till we
intervención.
can have the connection for
De
the
nuevo,
video.
de manera presencial,
Again,
el
face
Ministro de
to
Cultura,
face, we
Juventud
have
y
the Minister of
Deporte,
Culture,
Su
Youth and
Excelencia,
Sports,
Mr.
His
Michael
Excellency,
Forrest
Mr. Michael
de
Forrest
New Caledonia.
from New Caledonia.
The floor is yours.
Adelante.
Merci. Bonjour. En premier lieu, je voudrais remercier le gouvernement et le peuple du Mexique, mais aussi l'UNESCO.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the Mexican government and the Mexican people, as well UNESCO, for the organization of this wonderful meeting that is so relevant for the future of mankind. New Caledonia is a set of islands, and its origin dates back to more than 3,000 years, and it had a colonial history in recent times. It is also a land of word, as our motto says. This is how our island has been acknowledged as a welcoming land for a number of communities around our Kanak original people, with multi-ethnic, multicultural richness, and thanks to our oral tradition and our forefathers, as well as our written history and our colonial history. Today we have the need to express ourselves. That is clear thanks to the expression of cultural manifestations, as well as productivity of our artists. So today, if we talk about culture in New Caledonia, we're talking about a multifaceted culture that aims at creating added value, because growth per se and alone cannot work for mankind. Sustainable development implies taking into account not only the environment but also human development, that both reinforce each other, and culture needs to be considered as the matrix of human sustainable development. Culture is also a source of cohesion, and inclusion is at the core of education, by raising awareness so that culture is priority of all peoples across the world. Likewise, it's a vector of progress and modernity. It is the source of inspiration at New Caledonia. Artistic cultural education allows us to cope with the relevant challenges, and is one of the axes considered by the Numia Agreement, as well as the Agreement on the Cultural Development. We strive for success of students and bringing the communities of our countries and the expansion of art and culture that have been vectors, as I said, that allow us to convey oral expression, and also those with the written support to future generations. Some of them have been restructured. So today, aside from taking culture and identity of cultures, also culture is a sector that adds value and creates value. The government of New Caledonia is committed to the creation of a fund for the fostering of culture in order to identify sources of financing, as well as supporting a number of artistic creation programs around cultural heritage.
qui œuvrent dans les différents
in
domaines,
order to
de même
foster
qu'encadrer
creativity
la
of our
production
artists.
des savoirs traditionnels, notamment en
We
capitalisation
also
à l'insu des détenteurs
wish to
des
support
savoirs.
traditional knowledge
Pour conclure,
and
je voudrais aussi rappeler les
prevent
différentes dynamiques qui
this
sont développées
traditional
au sein
knowledge to be
de la région
used
Pacifique avec les
without
différents pays
providing
frères du Forum
information
Pacifique
to
autour de
their
la stratégie
original
culturelle 2020-2032
creators. Now, the
sur laquelle nous allons nous
collaboration
engager pour faire en sorte que les
is relevant because
différentes
we're
richesses du monde puissent
working
continuer à perdurer pour le bien de l'humanité.
in
Je vous
order
remercie.
to work towards the preservation of cultural
Muchas gracias.
richness. Thank you
Vamos a
very much.
intentar
We will
poner
try
el video
again to
del
play the
ministro de
video
Cultura
of
de
the Minister
Tailandia.
of Culture
En caso de que no
from
se pueda,
Thailand. If that is
ya
not possible,
comenzaríamos la sesión
then we would go
con
directly
los
to
observadores,
the
pero
observers.
intentemos una vez más.
Again.
Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, this is my great pleasure and honor to take part in the UNESCO World Conference on Cultural Policies and Sustainable Development, Mondiacult 2022. Thematic sessions on the future of the creative economy in times of unstable situations such as the COVID pandemic. The creative economy has become an essential contributor to social and economic development. In addition, tangible and intangible heritage has also been a major driver of growth and laid a foundation of sustainable development with these mutually permanent advantages. Thailand strongly supports UNESCO continuing program on heritage and creativity. The Ministry of Culture of Kingdom of Thailand also envisions the importance of the creative economy. Hence, various policy plans and implementations have been set and improved in order to create awareness, promote, and boost competitiveness, productivity, and sustainable growth. We have also implemented the concept of advancing cultural works and the action plans known as New Cultural Economy, generating incomes, adding value.
Bueno, primero que todo agradecer.
Well, thank you.
Panelistas.
Thank you.
Ahora
Thanks to our
vamos
panel
a ir,
members.
con la
And
última
now
parte
we'll have
de
the
este
final
panel,
round of
justamente
observers.
llamar
This
a
panel
los observadores.
is,
En primer lugar, voy a llamar
going to
a la
summon
señora
the
Nivine
observers.
Khaled. Ella es la
First, we
directora
have Ms.
de
Nivine
Lengua Francesa
Khaled,
y
Director of French
Diversidad
Language and
de la
Diversity
Cultura
of the
Francófona.
Francophone cultures.
Ella es parte de la
She is part
Organización
of the
Internacional de la Francofonía.
International Organization of Francophonie. Welcome.
Messieurs, dames, bonjour. Je suis Nivine Khaled, la directrice de la
Ladies
langue
and
et de
gentlemen,
la culture
I
à
am
l'Organisation
Nivine
internationale de
Khaled,
la
Director of
francophonie.
French Language of Diversity of the
2005,
Francophone
notre
culture.
organisation
In
a joué un rôle
2005, our
central
organization
auprès de
played
ces
a
88
key
États et
role
gouvernements
in,
dans la mise en place de la
across
Convention
the
de
different
l'UNESCO
states for
sur
the
la
implementation
protection
of
et
the
la promotion de la
Convention for the
diversité des
protection and
expressions culturelles.
fostering vis-à-vis the
Aujourd'hui, notre
promotion
ADN est le
of
même.
cultural
Notre engagement
expressions.
auprès
Our
des États et
DNA is the
gouvernements,
same, and our
mais aussi
commitment
auprès des
with the
acteurs
states and
culturels
governments
se
is
poursuit.
also there, but
Le rôle
also with
stratégique
stakeholders.
des ICC
The
dans la
strategic
croissance
role
économique et le
of the
développement
ICCs
durable
in
fait
the
l'objet d'une prise de
sustainable
conscience
growth
collective
is
au niveau
object
mondial,
of awareness
preuve en est
worldwide.
notre présence ici aujourd'hui. Le numérique a
Therefore, we
profondément
are here, we are
accéléré la
participating
transformation du
digitally,
secteur culturel et
therefore
créatif.
accelerating the
Il a
transformation of the
introduit de
cultural
nouveaux
and
processus de
creative
création, de diffusion
arena
et de
with new
consommation. La
areas
francophonie,
of dissemination and
consciente de
consumption.
l'immense talent
Francophone
culturel des
culture,
francophones,
aware
notamment
of
des
the
femmes
culture of
et des jeunes,
Francophones,
travaille à ce que ces
particularly
talents
women
soient plus
and
visibles,
the young,
plus
the youth,
accessibles, plus découvrables au reste
conceives
du
a more
monde et qu'ils
visible
prennent
environment
pleinement
vis-à-vis
cette
the
dimension
world, so
économique.
as to
La
fully
francophonie de
embrace
l'avenir,
its
celle
economic
portée par la secrétaire
dimension.
générale,
The future
Madame
of
Louise
Francophonie is
Mushikiwabo,
in the hands
considère donc
of
la
Madame Mujicago,
créativité
that
comme une
is
source de
considering
création
creativity
d'emplois,
as a source of
comme une source de
creation
lien social
of employment,
et
as a
d'inclusion.
source of social
En
liaison
mobilisant
and
ses
inclusion.
partenaires internationaux,
By mobilizing
les
its
États et
international
gouvernements,
membership,
88 États et gouvernements,
states and
le monde
governments,
académique, les médias,
88 in
la
total,
société
and the
civile,
academia as
la
well,
francophonie
the media,
pose
social
les jalons
society
d'une feuille de
with
route renouvelée,
Francophonie,
moderne
and therefore
et
we have a
contemporaine.
renewed
Je vous remercie.
roadmap that is fit for today. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. And now I will invite Ms. Alison Drayton, Assistant Secretary General of Caribbean Community, CARICOM. A continuación, ya, no se lo lleva.
Excellencies, Honourable Ministers, distinguished delegates, I would like to use this opportunity to focus on the future of the creative economy, particularly for the Caribbean community, CARICOM, within the wider context of this global debate. In the Caribbean context, culture is central to the promotion of identity, community spirit and unity, and the effective implementation of our regional integration movement. CARICOM member states have gained significant global recognition and respect for our renowned artists, the diversity and excellence of our cultural expressions. Between 2005 and 2011, the creative economy in CARICOM accounted for between 4.8 to 7% of GDP in countries such as Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and St. Lucia. The cultural industries also outperformed other sectors, for example, finance and construction in some member states. The importance of appropriate investments to ensure a robust creative economy that will continue to contribute to economic growth and resilience have been recognized by our policymakers. Some initiatives to improve the enabling environment for the creative industries in CARICOM include developing national cultural policies and legislative frameworks to protect, incentivize, and promote the creative industries, developing national cultural institutions, financing mechanisms, and strengthening intellectual property management. A regional development strategy and action plan for cultural industries was adopted in 2012. The Caribbean Festival of Arts, CariFesta, which is a highly valued regional space to showcase our arts and culture, is also being positioned as a catalyst for creative industry development in our region. CARICOM is resolved to leverage the transformative power of our cultural assets and creative economy to secure lasting prosperity in the region. We welcome the support and partnership of the international community. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, and thank you all to the panel members. I would just like, because of time, because we have exceeded our time, probably I just would like to make two final remarks. One is it could be the Caribbean, UP, or Asia. Doesn't matter, but culture is a driver of sustainable development and economic opportunities. This has been expressed by all the ministers and on video or in presence. And number two, to value the dimension of the opportunity of growth and job generation that this industry has in the future. And definitely here we need to accompany it and to make it grow. And I think that this gives us hope, a perspective of positive results. Thank you for an excellent panel, and we would like to thank the audience.